4 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. When the next guest was first introduced to me, I haven't spoken to her yet, but she was introduced to me by our publicist, Rich, who we work with all the time. And I found out what her story was about. I was really reluctant to know the story because I just thought it would be way too sad. And when the book arrived, it was very hard to even open it. It's like, oh man, do I even want to read this story? When you read the story, you sometimes wonder if you were smart in reading the story, but then you realize that this is a story of love. And if you believe in an afterlife, it's a story of hope. Karen Perry is on the phone. This is a rare time when we're not talking to the author. We're talking to the subject of the book. The book is called Angels 3. It is written by Landon J. Napoleon, but on the phone is the person whom the book is about, Karen Perry. Karen lost her 3 young children and the father of those children in a plane crash. I think it was the Thanksgiving Eve or Thanksgiving evening. I'm not clear on that one. In 2011, so only 4 years ago. They took off in a plane, the way I understand it, crashed into a mountain in Arizona. The way I understand it, her backyard, I think, or somewhere near her home, she can see the mountain that they crashed into. Karen is an accomplished pilot, a former flight attendant. There was some issues regarding a change in the flight plans or the way they scope them out or something, and she can explain that. But she's on the phone right now to talk to us about this, and the one thing that I think you'll get from this is a sense of hope, a sense of love does go on, as so many songs say. Karen, and as religion teaches us, doesn't it? Karen Perry. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you for having me today.
My goodness, I just want to hug you. Where are you right now?
I am in my office, and I'm looking right at the mountain.
And your office is in your home?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Did I get any of that wrong?
You actually got everything right.
So this was it the day before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Day?
It was the day before. It was actually Thanksgiving Eve.
So I'm assuming, since you're referring to their father as their father and not your husband, that you were divorced or estranged. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. We were divorced.
So he was taking the children for Thanksgiving?
Yes. He was in a private company plane, a company that he worked for, and with 2 other male occupants. And their father actually flew the airplane over from Safford, Arizona into Mesa. It's a 20-minute flight. And they were picking up our 3 children to take them back to Safford for Thanksgiving festivities. And my ex-husband actually got in the back seat, so they had traded seats. And the other pilot flew the aircraft back, and they took off, and it was a dark, moonless night. And they were airborne for 6 minutes. When they impacted the Superstition Mountain, which killed all of them instantly.
My goodness! Were you watching it at that time? Did you see it?
Thankfully, I did not see it. I was sick that day, and I was convalescing in bed, and I had a child care provider take the children to the airport. Thankfully, otherwise I would have witnessed it while I was driving home. So I'm very grateful that I didn't see it happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So how did you find out that it happened?
About an hour after the accident, I received a phone call from the child care provider, and she was crying, and she said there's been a plane crash. And it really didn't resonate with me. I didn't get it. I said, okay, so, planes crash every day. Why are you calling me? And she said that she had seen it on the news. It had been registered to Ponderosa Aviation, which was the company that my ex-husband worked for. And then people just started showing up at my house. It was very surreal. And at that point, I did some checking, and I did confirm that their aircraft had gone down, but I didn't have any details at that point as to, if there were survivors. All I knew is that they were looking for survivors, and I didn't even know where it had happened. If I had looked out my window, I would have seen the fire on the mountain.
Wow. How did you handle that?
Well, it was, of course, devastating to lose your whole family like that in an instant, and I was in shock, quite literally for a year. There's very little of that year I remember, and it's a process, Larry. I still process it today. And
I bet it's only 4 years.
Yeah, it still seems surreal, but I will say that many beautiful things have come out of this tragedy.
Explain that.
Of course, after losing the children, I had a huge hole in my heart and a huge hole in my life, because that was my whole life. And I reflected back on a very close friend of mine who was also close with my children, telling me that she had a vision, a place of hope and healing for children. And at the time she told me this, I was a single mom with 3 kids, very busy, and I told her that's a beautiful idea, and I wish I could do more to help, but I really can't help you with that. And after losing the children, I remembered her telling me that, and I thought, there's no reason why I can't do that now. And so together we started a 501c3 nonprofit called 3 Wings of Life, where we provide hot meals, structured activity, and equine-assisted therapy for underprivileged children.
Wow, we have a very active horse community here. I don't know if you know that about Ocala, and it is not unusual to hear about people using horses for therapy. So I kind of can connect to that a little bit.
Part of your personal story is that you didn't realize you would be able to have children, and then all of a sudden in your later years you ended up being pregnant, and then you had a total of 3. So that must have been a devastating blow to you. You welcomed this miracle of God, and then you had to let him go.
Exactly. Yeah, and that question went through my mind a lot. I was so lucky to be blessed with these 3 beautiful kids after being told I would never be able to have kids.
Wow.
And my kids came along later in life. My daughter Morgan was born when I was 39, and Logan came along at 40, and then Luke at 42. So, yeah, and then just a short time with them, and then I lost them. So, yes, that question, why would I be so blessed and then lose them the way that I did? But
yeah. Why? Yeah. What is the answer? There's no answer, right?
No, I look at it as they were here to teach me things that I needed to learn, and their job was complete. And now I move forward with hopefully a message of hope and inspiration, and daily try to turn what is a terrible tragedy into beautiful things. One of those things, I believe, is the book Angels 3 that was written by Landon J. Napoleon, and he did a fantastic job of capturing the essence of my children.
I want to point out that it's got to be hard to do these interviews. Typically, radio guys are kind of geeky and dopey, and I'm no
I don't know about that.
I'm no exception. I'm no exception to that. But it must have been really hard to sit with Landon Napoleon and give him the information he needed to write the book. So we need to take a little break too. It's another dopey thing about these things. A serious conversation, but you have to take a break. All right, so we'll take a little break, and we'll be right back. Karen Perry is our guest. 4 years ago, she lost her 3 children and the father of their children. She was divorced from him, but they were a family. in a plane crash, Thanksgiving 2011, in Arizona. The plane crashed into a mountain. If you're just tuning in, the book is called Angel 3. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, breezy with variable cloudiness and a brief shower or two, especially this afternoon, the high 75 to 79. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight. There may be a brief shower in spots, low 61 and a few inland spots, but about 71 along the coast. For Thanksgiving Day, clouds and some sun and breezy with a brief shower or two, high 77 to 81. Friday, partly sunny and breezy, chance of a shower, high 78 to 82. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Ooh, ouch. Does pain have you glued to the couch? Yes, unfortunately it's true that every year we must get older, but that doesn't mean we have to deal with pain in our back, knees, or shoulder. If your muscles and joints are sore, don't worry anymore. Come get acupuncture from me and you'll be pain-free. Acupuncture starts as low as $35 at a Better You Healthcare. Call me, Dr. Erica Olstein, at 615-5566. Stop your pain from driving you insane.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Have you heard of Hyperdirectory? When looking for local businesses, go to hyper.directory. No need for www, no need for .com, just hyper.directory. Connecting customers to local companies when it matters most. Hyperdirectory is your local business directory partnered with the Ocala Chamber and Economic Partnership to bring you trusted local businesses. Keeping Ocala local. Use hyper.directory. No www, not even .com, just hyper.directory. Connecting customers to businesses when it matters most.
12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this day before Thanksgiving. Karen Perry is on the phone. She lost her 3 young children and their father in a plane crash on Thanksgiving in 2011. The plane crashed into a mountain in Arizona called Superstition Mountain. She herself is a pilot, a former flight attendant. There is information in the book also regarding some speculation as to what might have caused the crash, and we'll get to some of that. I have a real philosophical thought right now, Karen. I just want to share with you.
Okay.
All right. I have a religion. It's called Christianity, and it teaches me that when we die, we go to heaven. And I have had many, many guests who've been on the air who've written books about somebody who passes away, and they have dreams or visions or visits, and so there's all kinds of reasons to have hope that we will see our departed loved ones again. And yet I don't have enough whatever to feel good in the face of what you went through. I could have all the faith in the maybe all the faith in the world. Maybe that's what I don't have. Maybe that's what I need. But I couldn't at that moment. And in fact, in my own life, when somebody has passed, at that moment, you could come to me with all the scripture in the world, and I would still say it's not helping. You know, and not to be anti or what am I, sacrilegious or something. I'm just saying at that moment, emotionally, you can tell me anything you want to tell me, and I don't think it would help me, you know?
Yeah.
Did you go through that at all, or any of that?
You know, interestingly enough, Larry, and that's a great question. And I can't explain this, but my faith is stronger now than it was before. One thing that I've been so lucky and I'm so grateful to God for is that I'm allowed to have signs by my children. And I've had signs from them continuously since they passed away 4 years ago. And those signs and dreams, which is part of all that, have really made me realize that, you know what, they are here, they are in heaven, I am going to see them again.
There was some issues when a person is flying the plane, a private plane like that. Do they have to register with the airport to tell them who is flying? Is that how you knew it was not their father?
No, that's another good question. They're not required to do anything under the type of flight they were doing. The way that we knew is the fixed base operation, FBO as it's called, had a surveillance video. So they have video of the aircraft landing, and they have video of the children arriving, and they have video of everything that happened during that stop, and it shows clearly where everyone sat. And my 3 children and their father were sitting in the back of the airplane.
So when there was an investigation in this, did that investigation happen automatically, or did you have to initiate it?
Anytime there's an aircraft accident, especially one where there's fatalities, the National Transportation Safety Board steps in and automatically does an investigation on their end. And then, of course, there was the local sheriff's department and homicide investigation that follows, which is standard procedure.
Tell me about the relationship that you have with Landon Napoleon. Did you contact him to have the book written? Did he contact you because he heard the story?
You know, I was given his name actually by my attorney, and the minute I heard his name, something resonated with me. I started writing this book on my own, and I love to write, but it became so emotional and so intense that I would write for hours, and then I would just collapse, and I would be so mentally exhausted. I couldn't keep myself going. And when I heard Landon's name, something clicked, and I knew this is the guy I need to have this guy do this book. And I called him up, and we had a conversation, and we met, and we just instantly clicked. And from that point, we would meet every week at Starbucks. Really, it took us 2 years to write it. So we would meet, and it was very emotional, but in a lot of ways it was also cathartic. So just a wonderful experience. Landon's a wonderful human being, and I know that this was not easy for him to write. He has 2 little girls, and he's very passionate about this story. And I might just point out, too, though, Landon and I had a lot of laughs. My kids were a lot of fun, and we had a great time writing positive, upbeat, happy things about the children. And we don't focus on the tragedy, although that's obviously part of the story. But we want to let people know that this is a book about love and life and loss. And our purpose is to give hope and inspiration to people.
People will tell people after tragedies happen, you have to move forward. Did you pilot a plane after that?
Another great question. No, I have not. I've been on aircraft in small airplanes and big airplanes, and I've taken some time to step back from everything, and I do believe I will go back to flying. I miss it a lot. But I wanted to make sure that my mind was, I was in the right frame of mind before I get behind the controls of an airplane.
Is there or was there a lawsuit with the FAA? Did they do something wrong with the whole airspace thing? And forgive me, I don't even understand that whole thing.
Sure. The Superstition Mountain, in 2006, the Federal Aviation Administration lowered the level of controlled airspace. It was at 8,000 feet. They lowered it down to 5,000 feet, which is below the peaks of the mountains. So the mountain peak that this aircraft hit was actually at 5,037 feet.
Oh, my gosh. That
Which
doesn't
is-
make sense to me. Why would they do that?
They did it to enhance the arrivals into Phoenix Sky Harbor and also into our neighboring airport at Mesa Gateway. They did it to enhance the arrivals so it would make the commercial airliners have an easier, expedited experience getting into the airports. And so I understand why they did it, but I have to tell you that when they did this in 2006, it was met by much opposition from the Arizona Pilots Association, along with the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, which is the largest general aviation organization in the world. And they sued the feds over that airspace and unfortunately lost. However, having said that, the FAA has acknowledged in their own writing that the airspace around the mountain is deficient, and yet they've done nothing to fix it. And I also had a lawsuit against the FAA, and that lawsuit settled out of court. So now, going forward, I would hope that this airspace get looked at very carefully, and the corrections that need to be made to make it safer, I'm hoping that they make those decisions.
Did the company that owned the plane, were there blueprints for the construction of the plane scrutinized also?
That would have been the case, but what happened with that, the aircraft had been purchased 1 week prior to this accident in the Midwest, and it had been sitting for 2 years. So none of the maintenance that was supposed to be performed on it had been performed. And Ponderosa Aviation got a one-way ferry permit from the FAA to fly it from, I believe it was Iowa, to Safford, Arizona, where it was to have standard maintenance performed, which is a 150-hour inspection and an annual inspection. So the plane was due for a lot of maintenance. It was also required to have a piece of equipment on it called TAWS, which stands for Terrain Awareness Warning System. And there was a brand new system waiting at the airport to be installed into that aircraft. So, I mean, I will never understand why they took off and used that particular plane when it didn't have its maintenance current on it. And this, by the way, was something that the National Transportation Safety Board figured out after the fact. All the maintenance records for the plane were on board the plane and destroyed in the accident.
Oh, man.
Yeah, normally you would not have maintenance records on the aircraft for that very reason.
Right.
But they were able to determine that those inspections had not been performed, and quite frankly, that was something that really surprised me because I know those people, and yes.
I'm sorry, we are out of time. What a story. The book is called Angels 3. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. The rest of us would have to go buy it. Karen, do you have a website for the book?
Yes, www.3wingsoflife.org.
3wingsoflife.org, the numeral 3. Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larry.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The coalition against ISIS possibly endangered by the Turkish shoot.